Hey dreamers, welcome to my channel. This is Dosha with DoshaDreamsTarot, and this is going to be a reading for the collective for the full moon in Virgo. So y'all, I've had some pretty big changes lately. I have moved. As you can see, I'm in a new environment, which I am loving. And I've had quite a few channeled messages come through, especially as I was cleansing the space and shuffling on the cards, or shuffling the cards and meditating on the energy of the collective. All my crystals are super charged from the moon, which also I have just posted my first TikTok promoting this channel. So I will put the link in the description box below. So if you have TikTok and you want to check it out, it was kind of a cute little creative thing I did early this morning. And I was just inspired by spirit to do it. I have used TikTok quite a bit in the last year, especially in 2020, but I went through a purge and basically deleted all my social media apps, and including the accounts themselves, so that I wouldn't be like tempted to like go back into them. So just to make things a lot more complex and more barriers to being on social media, I deleted all my social media accounts, and I kind of did it without much of a goodbye also. So for a lot of folks, I might have just like disappeared completely, but I needed to do it, and I feel like this is kind of a part of I guess the energy that I'm getting for the collective, because I am a part of the collective, obviously. So the experiences that I'm having, I feel may really resonate with a lot of you. So biggest things that I was getting, and I wish I would have written them down as well, but I was just getting them while I was shuffling, so I can still vibe with the energy because it's very, very strong and very present right now. But the main thing was okay, and this is gonna sound like, okay, I also want to start by laying a little bit of a precedent here that when we hear consistent messages kind of echoing through our tarot readers and our mediums, our psychics, our channelers, right? When we hear these themes and these repeating messages, we may start to become less connected to them or less excited by them, and so we may start to think like, oh, this is just cliche, or these people are saying this because they just hear everyone else say it and there's not a whole lot of weight to it and all that sort of thing. And I just want to remind you all that there is a reason why messages repeat and echo, okay? And there is a reason why a lot of channelers are getting these messages, because this is a certain time frame, okay? This is also something I wanted to touch on, is that throughout history, right, human history, history of the planet also, life is cycles, right? I mean, the most obvious being birth and death, okay, the life cycle, right? But within that life cycle, there are many cycles that take place, obviously, day and night, okay, winter and spring, right? So this is, I guess, what I'm trying to share with y'all, is that life is repeating patterns and life is cyclical. So we can't really separate ourselves from that. And I guess the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm picking up that, and also not only that, but we have macro cycles, okay? So we're going through a cycle in humanity, in the age of humanity, right? That we are coming to a place, and this is something that I feel has been, repeated within probably our lifetimes, but just in the last, I don't know, I want to say like 50 years, right? Is this idea of like a cultural revolution, right? And when we say revolution means a cycle, like the turning of a wheel, right? That's why they call it like a revolving door. I know that sounds stupid, but I'm just trying to give examples so you can understand what the term cultural revolution really means, is that it's the turning of the wheel, right? It's the cycle changing. So it's not that there's just, I mean, it is kind of like that, where I mean, I guess what I'm getting is it's a lot like a mandala, but I'm just trying to break it down where that it is little cycles repeating within a big cycle, right? If that makes sense. But in those little revolutions, those little cycles, you are existing within that cycle, and then it ends, and then a new one begins, and vice versa, and it continues, right? So it's not like you're just constantly going through that transition part. There are times when you are in the midst, right? You're in the center of a cycle, right? And you're experiencing that cycle fully, and then the cycle changes, right? So basically, what I'm getting is that we have been entering into the transition of the new, like the end of our current cycle and the beginning of the new cycle. And that transition has been happening on a macro level for like the last 50 plus years, right? Is the feeling that I get. And so we've been in this macro transition, and it's been a lot of pressure and very frustrating because people are like, well, these cycles are supposed to be ending and we're supposed to be entering a new era and yada yada yada, since like the 60s, okay, since the 1960s, right? And even before then, I mean, we can even say it's been the last 50 to 100 years, okay? And then before that, they were in their own cycles, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we are finally getting to the end of the macro transitional cycle. Does that make sense? Where that we have been experiencing that in our own lifetimes, right? Where that we were in the middle of a cycle. We were just in the midst of the beginnings of our lives, but in this collective transition, right? So we've been, I think, kind of in our own way, really trying to kind of trudge through the muck of the macro transition, but while also being in the midst of our own smaller transitions. But then when we have them both happening in conjunction, which I feel is happening for a lot of us, is that we are actually ending and beginning new cycles in conjunction with the larger cycle now. So now it's kind of aligning. Does that make sense? Where that before it was like we were feeling this existential transitional cycle that we didn't really quite, like, it's almost like when you're kind of just like living your life and you're just doing your thing and you're in the middle of a current chapter or a current lesson or whatever it is you're doing, you're in the midst of it, right? Like it's like when you're in the throes of love, or you've you started a new job, now you've gotten used to it and you're working the job, right? So it's not like it's a new job anymore, right? So you're still like you're in it, but still feeling like this whole cycle happening, this transition happening on an existential level outside of your individual life, and it being very confusing and super frustrating, and also maybe inspiring because you're like, wow, the culture is changing, but we're in this tension period where that there's all this struggle and all of this disagreement and people holding on to the old and not wanting to let it go, and people like clinging and grasping towards the new, and so it's a very intense kind of pressure on the collective, right? Even if you aren't necessarily feeling it in your individual life. So that's what I feel like was happening. And now, y'all, this is what I'm getting. What I'm getting is that now our individual lives are starting to change, where that we are ending the old cycle that we were in the midst, we were in the center of, we were in the throes of. That is ending, and we are stepping into a new cycle in our individual lives. And it's aligning with this macro transition where that now finally the collective is actually moving forward, and it's not done yet, okay? But it's happening, no, regardless of if we like it or not. That's the other part. The other part is that spirit, okay? Spirit is the one who's in charge, okay? But here's what I'm getting as well. And when I shuffle, I also, I see the cards as I split the deck and the cards that pop up, you know what I mean, as I'm shuffling. And what I was getting is that Spirit really wants us to take charge now. like Spirit wants us to participate in this change, and not just participate, but take control of our own lives. Step into it. Don't just hide and be afraid until it's knocking at your door and you're forced to, because that's some of the hardest transitions is these tower moment transitions, right? Which is how I see the tower, is forced change, which is coming from Spirit. Because when you look at the tower card, and this is just for example, but when you look at the tower card, the tower is being struck by lightning, right? So that's how I see it, is that this is force change. So what Spirit is asking of us and is encouraging us to do is to take those leaps of faith and take those steps forward into the new cycle, and have faith that the next steps will appear, and that you can't see the future, but did you predict what has happened to you so far? Reflect on your blessings, okay? And reflect on the challenges that you've overcome, and not ruminate. Don't ruminate on the past cycle, but reflect on it and accept it. Accept your shortcomings, accept your mistakes, okay? Accept the things that other people have done to you that have impacted you in a bad way, right? Reflect also on the people who have stepped up in your life in times when you needed that the most, who were there for you. Just reflect on everything and don't ruminate. Let it pass through you, and just embrace it and just accept it, and also let it bewilder you. Like, let it amaze you what you have been through so far, and allow it to empower you to know that you can move forward, and you don't have to see how things are going to go. You don't know yet. But if you accept the challenge, if you take those necessary risks, because if you know that the situation you are in now, or if you are, have already stepped forward and you have made a big change, well, I'll do those two thoughts separately, because I feel like this is the collective right now, is those who have yet to make those changes, those who have just made those changes, and those who have made the change and are seeing the results of their actions now, okay? So this is what I'm getting for the collective. Let's start here. So for those of you who are in a situation where that that this situation is not conducive to you being empowered, to you following your dreams, to you being connected with Spirit, you being healthy, right? If you know that the situation you're in is preventing you from receiving from the universe, that you already know, like, there's no way that I could have partnership in this situation, even though that's something that I want in my life. If I know for a fact that this situation is I'm not going to be able to get a good job, right? Because of the situation I'm in. I'm already committed to some job that I hate or whatever. Anything like that, okay? Or you're in partnership now that is impacting you on a fundamental level, in a negative way, in a harmful way. What Spirit is wanting me to tell you is that you have to make the change. You have to actually strike the match. You have to put in some type of effort and make the decision. If you have to leave something behind in order to hopefully gain what it is you want, I encourage you, and Spirit is telling me to tell you that it is worth it. Because if you make the decision to leave behind something that's toxic in order to reach for something that is healthier and is more aligned with your purpose and is closer to the type of life you want to live, I'm telling you, the fear is, excuse me, I need a drink of water. The fear is, of course, it always is. There's always fears, different types of fears and different reasonings. But what I'm getting is, one of the biggest fears is that you'll end up worse off than you are right now, right? I mean, tell me if that doesn't feel accurate, right? You're afraid that you'll end up worse off than you are right now. So if you hold on to what you have now, at least it's better than nothing, right? At least your living situation with your toxic, alcoholic roommates, or, your toxic parents, or whatever your situation is, and these are just examples, okay? I'm just channeling what Spirit wants me to say right now, is that you feel that it's better than being homeless, right? Well, yeah, but is it better than what it is that you actually want? No. The only thing that's standing between you and what it is that you want, believe it or not, is you. And I know that that sounds really crappy if you're in a difficult financial situation, which I understand, or if you're in a difficult geographical location, right? There's a lot of obstacles to getting to where you want. And this is for the folks in this sector, okay? Folks who still haven't made that decision and that move yet, okay? If you're in a situation where that you have obstacles, I'm not telling you that you don't. I'm not, and I'm sorry if you have obstacles to being where it is that you want to be, because that is one of the most frustrating experiences, absolutely. So what I'm trying to say is that those obstacles, they can be overcome. And they can be overcome with the help of Spirit. And the most important tool in your toolbox, seriously, is faith. Faith that you can overcome these obstacles in ways that you can't even see yet. That there might be avenues for you that you don't even see yet. So you may be thinking, well, I have financial obstacles, so I can't move because I can't afford it, and all that sort of thing. Like, yes, that is your current circumstance, okay? So I'm not going to tell you it's not. But what I am going to tell you is that you can work on that circumstance. You can change that circumstance by finding a way to earn more money, finding a way to you can even fundraise for yourself, okay? You'd be really surprised, if people heard your story, that they might want to help you. And that might be really difficult for you. But I'm telling you, you just putting in the effort to create a GoFundMe and circulate it and talk to people and make a TikTok about it, right? This is what I'm being inspired to tell you guys, is that you can change your circumstance, and you would be amazed what you can do with faith and with Spirit, okay? So that's what I have for that sector. So the next sector is people who have made this decision and have yet to see whether or not it will go well, but you have a good feeling about it, okay? Stay the course. What you've done now so far is you've taken the leap, okay? You've taken the leap, and Spirit is going to be there for you. This is what I'm getting, is that the next steps will appear, okay? The next steps will become available to you. You can't see them yet, and so that's scary. It's like stepping out into the darkness and having faith that you won't, fall, right? That's what this moment in your change is about, is that you have made the step, you made the decision, you took the action, and all you know is that, boop, I got to the next step, okay? I'm one step closer, where that now I'm in a better situation. I can receive the things that I want. I am making myself available and open, and I've changed my circumstance, right? So, stay the course. Seriously. You did it. Okay? The first step is the hardest step. Okay? Now it's just going to be continuing to take care of yourself, continuing to connect with the divine, and follow your inspiration. Something that one of my favorite tarot readers said recently, which you should go check them out. Since I'm going to quote them, I might go ahead and link them below as well. But they're the Minnow Tarot. Some of you all might know who they are. They have a decent following, but they said something recently about the law of attraction, and it really resonated with me, because what they said was, instead of calling it the law of attraction, I think they should really call it the law of inspiration. Because if you follow what you're inspired to do, if you follow your inspiration and those little nudges from Spirit, then that is what leads you to the next step, so that you can then achieve what it is that you want to attract into your life. So it's not that you just sit on a mountaintop and attract in everything you've ever wanted, right? That's part of it. Part of it is asking for what you want, connecting with it, visualizing it, and moving forward to go and achieve it, because you can't just expect everything to come to you. You have to be receptive to opportunities, right? Because then your energy is receptive, and then somebody might be sitting there thinking, dang, I really need somebody to fill this position, and I really think, I definitely know somebody who could do it, right? I don't want to put an ad out there, hire someone I've never met before. This is kind of like, this is my personal business, or like whatever it is, or I need someone to come and work for me on my land or in my home, or, something that it's like, oh, I want someone I trust. And then they go, ding, ding, ding. I bet you so-and-so might be into this gig. I bet you that they could probably, use the finances, right? Because you're in this receptive place, like, I need to earn more money, and living with integrity, right? You're living in alignment. Then the people around you are gonna connect with that, and they'll be like, oh, dang, I bet I should hit up so-and-so. That's what I'm talking about. So you are putting the energy out there to be receptive, and asking for what you want does impact your energy field and the web that you're tied to, right, in your community or your friends group, or just in your town, or whatever it is. So you're opening yourself up and being receptive to opportunities. That's huge. That's a big part of it. But the next step is actually taking those opportunities, putting yourself in a position where you can take those opportunities, and you can receive from others and from spirit when it comes to you, right? So you can recognize those opportunities. And especially if you're following those divine nudges, that's how synchronicity works. So say you're, oh, I've got to go to the grocery store, at some point today or whatever. So you follow your intuitive nudges through the day to be like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, da 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 da. And then you end up at the grocery store at the perfect time to bump into an old friend. You know what I mean? And then you'd be like, oh, wow, hey, haven't seen you in forever. Oh, let's exchange info. And then, boom, you've reconnected a friendship. Or they end up offering you an opportunity. Or you bump into somebody, you meet somebody new, and they're like, oh, hey, you seem, cool or whatever. Like, I'm just giving examples. It's like, you never know. So as long as you're following your intuition, you're following your inspiration, and you're connecting with spirit, and you're living with integrity, you're living in alignment, I'm telling you, those little tiny things that you do day to day lead you to your big moments and your big changes. So that's what Spirit wants me to share with you. But you do have to take action, and those little tiny actions all add up into culminating into these really important experiences for you in your life, that then you can attract those things that you want, right? Does that make sense? You've made room for them, right? So for those of you who have taken the step, okay, and now you've watched the new steps appear in front of you, the ones that you didn't know if they were going to be there or not, and then boom, here they are, I just want to say to you, good job, fabulous. I'm so glad that you had faith in spirit, and that you had faith that things were going to work out, and you didn't give up on yourself. Of course, you probably had your doubts, we all do, from beginning to end in these cycle changes, right? Because this is what it is. We're ending our old cycles, and then we're stepping forward into the new. So what I want to say is we really, really have a beautiful, beautiful opportunity here, and the energy is shifting so that we can move forward into healthier experiences, a healthier life, right? That's what I'm getting for the collective. And this means physical, mental, spiritual, okay? This is holistic health, where that we think about every facet of our human, vessel, right? And I really have faith that we're going to get to where we need to go. So Spirit has asked me to close out the message. I guess I'm not pulling any tarot cards for y'all, but I just want to say that, definitely also, okay, one more thing. Remember to be grateful, but also remember, gratitude is not guilt, okay? You can quote me on that one. Gratitude is not guilt. Don't feel guilty for the blessings that you're receiving now, okay? At all. Gratitude is joy. Okay? Yay. All right. I love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Please do like, share, comment, subscribe. And I hope to see y'all next time. Thanks. Bye.